Latin American struggles for independence erupted suddenly and unexpectedly. There had been a few ominous tremors before 1800, but the most remarkable thing about colonial rule continued to be its overall stability. Therefore, nobody saw an imperial collapse coming, and when it came, everybody improvised. One might expect those at the bottom to rise up when European control slipped. That did happen in some places, notably Haiti, where slaves literally took over. But the outcome in Spanish America and Brazil was more conservative. In general, the white people at the top of the social hierarchy stayed there, while blacks and indigenous people stayed at the bottom. On the other hand, Latin American independence created a dozen of the world's first constitutional republics. The fighting dealt the caste system a death blow and brought new status to many people of mixed race. The fighting itself changed much in Latin America. Many men of color became honored war heroes because of their bravery in combat. But winning the wars of independence required more than blood. It also required a sense of belonging and shared purpose. The modern nations of Latin America did not yet exist, even as a pipe dream when the wars began. What did an African slave, a Quechua-speaking villager, a landowner of pure Spanish blood, and a mestizo artisan have in common just because all had been born, for example, in the viceroyalty of Peru? Not much, obviously, aside from being subjects of the Spanish crown, which treated them almost as different subspecies of human being. So, patriot leaders faced a great challenge. They had to imagine new nations and get other people with little in common to imagine those nations too. The image had to be so vivid that people would betray their king, kill, and risk death for it. The patriotic vision of the Wars of Independence introduced elements of the two big ideas, liberalism and nationalism, that have animated Latin American political life ever since. To understand people's actions during the crisis years of 1808 to 25, to see how independence came so unexpectedly, then so quickly, how it changed so much and yet so little, we must observe how violent events in Europe suddenly destabilized colonial rule. Then we will hear how Latin Americans reacted, a story with several different threads. Core areas like Mexico and Peru followed one pattern, fringe areas like Venezuela and Argentina another. Brazil followed its own quite distinctive path to independence. These winding roads can get a bit complicated, but understanding them is worthwhile because the Wars of Independence cast a long shadow on the history of Latin America.